Have you ever wondered what the fastest cars were like in the 1920s, 30s, or even 40s? Well, like a lot of people, you're not alone. Ever since the conception of the automobile, top speed has been a defining benchmark throughout the century. Currently, all the rage is about who can hit the big 300 first, but way back when, going 100 miles per hour seemed like a huge feat. Today, I've compiled a list of the fastest cars of each decade going back to the 1900s. This list strictly contains production vehicles only, so no race cars or concept cars. So no, cars like the Thrust SSC and the Devel 16 are not going to be on this list. However, I will be giving some honorable mentions at the end, so stick around for those too. But without further ado, let's get into the video. (1900 to 1909), Mercedes Simplex 60 horsepower. As its name suggests, this car has a massive 60 horsepower. The car was designed by Wilhelm Maybach, who I'm sure you may have heard of. The vehicle was produced from 1903 to 1905. The engine it came with was a massive inline-4 with a whopping 9.2 liters and was connected to a 4-speed manual. It came in at a curb weight of 2,200 pounds, which made it light as a feather, but because of that, I'm sure you would never want to get into a crash while driving this thing. But due to its lightness, this car could actually reach 73 miles per hour, which was a huge feat back in the early 1900s. 1910 to 1919, Austro Daimler Prince Henry. This car is an absolute beauty and was introduced in 1910. These cars are rarely seen and only a handful were produced. Under its beautifully sculpted body is an inline-4 turning out 95 horsepower. There is also a second engine choice made that made a more docile 60 horsepower, which was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, albeit the more powerful version was still capable of reaching speeds of 85 miles per hour. 1920 to 1929, Duesenberg Model J. Duesenberg is a name associated with old-fashioned, class, and speed. Introduced in 1928, the Duesenberg Model J was an amazing car but presented at the wrong time. Due to this car being made during the Great Depression, it took away from a lot of its glory. It produced 265 horsepower from a 7-liter inline-8 engine, which was connected to a 3-speed manual. It sped its way to a top speed of 119 miles per hour. If only the car was introduced at the right time, we would see a lot more on the market today. 1930 to 1939, Duesenberg Model SJ. Derived from its older brother, the Model J, this model was introduced in 1932 and featured a supercharger. It still kept the same 7-liter inline-8 engine and the 3-speed manual, but horsepower is bumped up to a relatively large 320 horsepower. This was capable of pushing the car to its top speed of 140 miles per hour, but with its hefty curb weight of 5,700 pounds, this car wasn't going to get there anytime soon. 1940 to 1949, Jaguar XK120. The beautiful Jaguar XK120 was launched in 1948 at the London Motor Show. The 120 in its name stands for the car's theoretical top speed, which it clearly surpassed. The car is comprised of a wooden frame and aluminum body panels. This made the car super light at only a little over 3,000 pounds. Combined with its 3.4-liter inline-6 and 4-speed transmission, it could rocket its way to a top speed of 126 miles per hour. 1950 to 1959, Aston Martin DB4 GT. Another product of Britain, the DB4 GT was introduced at the London Motor Show in 1959. The car was designed to not only be good on the road, but a beast on the track as well. This car is lighter and faster than the standard DB4. The car is very similar in respects to today's marketplace, where manufacturers make limited production, track-oriented vehicles of their sports cars. With its 3.8-liter straight 6 producing 302 horsepower, it had no problem reaching its top speed of 153 miles per hour. James Bond would definitely be proud of this entry. 1960 to 1969, Ferrari 365 GTB4 Daytona. A few things come to mind when someone mentions the name Ferrari. Style, passion, and speed, and the Daytona lacks none of these. With its long front hood and its sloped rear, this car is a beauty like none other. The car is unofficially named Daytona because of its first, second, and third place win at the 24 Hours of Daytona in 1967. The car carries a 4.4-liter V12, which made this vehicle capable of reaching speeds of 174 miles per hour. 1970 to 1979, Ferrari GT4 Berlinetta Boxer. Arguably one of the best-looking Ferraris to come out of the 70s was the Berlinetta Boxer. This car's wedge-shaped design is an iconic look from this era of sports cars. The car gained its name from its flat 12 Boxer engine, which started as a 4.4-liter engine but was bumped up to 4.9 liters in 1976. Although, the earlier GT4 was the one to have. Ferrari had claimed that the car could reach speeds of 188 miles per hour, but from various tests it was gathered that it could only reach 175, beating out its older brother the 365 GTB4. 1980 to 1989, Ferrari F40. Arguably the most iconic Ferrari car, the F40 was born for the racetrack. With minimalistic amenities to super lightweight carbon fiber and Kevlar bodywork, this car is made to go fast. So fast, in fact, that it was the first car to ever go past 200 miles per hour and topped out at 202. This is one of the last cars that Enzo Ferrari himself had a hand in making. A 2.9-liter twin-turbo V8 was responsible for chugging this car along, and boy does this thing haul. 1990 to 1999, Mclaren F1. The Mclaren F1 was McLaren's first road-legal production vehicle, and they sure knocked it out of the park. This car had no compromises and used the most advanced and lightweight materials of the time, including carbon fiber, titanium, Kevlar, to even real 24-karat gold in the engine bay to be used as a heat shield. Even today, this car still remains the fastest naturally aspirated vehicle. The car's 6.1-liter V12 could whiz you and 2 other passengers to a top speed of 240 miles per hour. 2000 to 2009, Shelby SSC Aero. If you're not very familiar with the company SSC, you're not alone. Most people could have sworn the fastest car from the early 2000s was the Veyron, but rather it was this, a super low volume, relatively unheard of supercar. The Aero comes from the company SSC, or Shelby Supercars, which is a Washington-based automotive company. Their focus is on low-volume, high-speed vehicles, and they've settled for nothing less with the Aero. The SSC Aero may be low volume, but that doesn't mean that's a bad thing, because with this car's 6.4-liter turbocharged V8, this car can reach speeds of 258 miles per hour, and onlookers would be none the wiser. 2010 to 2020, Koenigsegg Agera RS. Coming straight from an abandoned Swedish Air Force base as a Koenigsegg Agera RS. Koenigsegg has been on a hot streak for making the fastest cars in existence, and their fastest yet is the Agera RS. Koenigsegg is an industry leader when it comes to innovation and using new materials in their vehicles. They may be a super low volume automotive manufacturer, but that doesn't stop them from making every bit and piece of their vehicle in-house. With the car's optional 1 megawatt package, the car churns out 1,341 horsepower from its in-house made 5.0 twin-turbo V8, making this car good for 278 mph top speed runs. Honorable mentions: the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. In September of 2019, Bugatti tested a Supersport variant of their Chiron. Using Bugatti's test track, the car hit a speed of 304.7 miles per hour. Although this would make it the fastest car in the world thus far, the car that set this record was a pre-production test vehicle. However, when a final production model hits those speeds, this list could definitely change. Honorable mentions: Devel 16. Coming all the way from the Middle East, the Devel 16 has been in the concept stages for quite some time. Only one real model exists today. Devel had claimed that the Devel 16 could reach speeds of 320 miles per hour. Devel claims that the 16 will come in 3 trim levels, with each having 2,000, 3,000, and 5,000 respective horsepower, with the top end trim having a 12.3-liter quad-turbo V16 engine. If only this car came to fruition, this would probably have been the fastest and craziest car for several years to come. And that's it. Let me know in the comment section below of what you thought about the fastest cars of each decade, and were there any of these cars you'd ever like to see in your dream garage? But for now, I'll see you all next time.